So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to shoot a primary bedroom that has a long corridor hallway. And the opening is in the middle of the room. So let's go check it out. All right, so I'm not sure if you can tell from there, but the opening here is not necessarily right in the middle of the room. In fact, I think the middle of the room is this here. So if I stand here right across it, it's that wall is the middle of the room. So the middle of the room is not here where you would think it would be, right? But it's a little bit off center. But regardless, it's not in the corner as it traditionally is, right? You know, case in point right here, the wall is in the corner, right? Take a look from here to make my point. Right, so this door is in the corner, so when we're taking photographs, it's pretty straightforward. Boom, that's the photo, right? But what about in an instance when the door is in the middle of the room? So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna talk out the plan and I'm gonna walk you through it. We're gonna photograph the house from this long hallway, right? So we encompass, we're gonna close these for now, so there's no holes. And we'll shoot it this way. Next, we're gonna go inside the room and we're gonna go into the corner. That corner, this corner, it doesn't matter. Shoot it this way, right? To encompass. So first, what happens when we enter the room, any room, we are looking at the wall that's opposite of the entrance, right? So in that case, what we need to do is we need to photograph that wall, right? Not this wall, not this wall, this wall, right? Because when we come into the room, we're not coming in this way. So I think I made my point. So this is why our first picture has to be the wall that's directly right across from the entrance. So we'll take a picture from here. Next, okay, so I'm gonna walk you through it. Now we're gonna record the screen here of what my camera sees. So we're gonna take a picture from here, right? And then we're gonna go right across. We're gonna put our camera right there, and then we're gonna face it right back, right? And by facing right back, of course I mean facing it this way, right? Where else would you face it? The opposite wall now, right? Right where we were, right where we came from. So far we've been looking this way. So now here we reveal where we came from, right? Again, not this wall, but this wall, right? It's directly opposite of what we just photographed. Okay, so after this angle, what are we gonna do? Well, let me show you. So now we had photographed from here this way, from where the camera is, we photographed this way. We sort of kind of saw this wall, right? What we haven't seen is this wall. So what we're gonna do next, for the next photo, we are going to get something along these lines here. Because the opening is not centered, it's gonna be weird. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something like this along these lines, and then we're gonna do identical coverage from these two angles. Boom, and boom, right? And then we're gonna do the same thing on the opposite side of the wall. And then we're gonna go boom here, right? And that pretty much gives you the full coverage of the primary bedroom. The primary well, we haven't really photographed this way either. So I think this would be our final photo is right here, boom. Okay. So we finally covered all the angles here in this primary bedroom. The reason why we do it in the primary bedroom is because that's the main bedroom. I overshoot the main bedroom so that the agent has choices. And I always just like covering all the angles here because it's the primary bedroom. The owner is buying a house, wants to see everything about the main bedroom. Of course, the secondary bedrooms are dead last on decision-making process on purchasing a house. So this is a very important room, so I'm giving it extra attention. All right, so I'm about to photograph the primary bedroom as we just walked through it. And something dawned on me that before we take pictures of the actual primary bedroom, what I like to do is create establishing shots. Take photos of the area right before you go into the primary bedroom. So in this case, it's this room here, okay? So my establishing shots are gonna be 2 shots, photographing this way as the camera sees it, and then coming towards the door, right? And instead of shooting it straight forward, because that would cut it here and here, I'm gonna go wide, put this in the left side of the frame. I'm gonna establish that the sliding doors start here, right? I'm only gonna show that this is where the sliding door starts. I don't need to photograph the entirety of the sliding door, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and, enough talking about it, let's do it. Well, let's take a picture first. So here, talking about sliding door. So this is not a good composition. This is not a good composition because not only we have this infinite, never-ending sliding door, we also have the outside here. So there's just too many things going on this side of the frame. Meanwhile, we're trying to draw attention to this wall here. So this is very distracting here. So we're gonna just zoom in enough to include the beginning of the next sliding door. If we do this, it is indefinite. This becomes infinite sliding door. So including the ending of this one and the beginning of the next one is money. All right, so I think I'm happy with this here. So now we're kind of gonna do the same premise here, but only here we're kind of like really pointing out that this is where we're going, this bedroom here. Plus, a lot of times there's a TV here, there's something going on here when it's furnished. So even when it's not furnished, I still like to make this shot. Okay, so here, because of this corridor, hallway, I want to establish that this is where we were, right over there. And this is where we're going, primary bedroom. Okay, so now this is what I was telling you about. What we're gonna do, just take a picture from here. Honestly, this may not be even necessary picture, but I'll do it. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so then here we go. So I'm all the way zoomed out, and I'm not sure if you noticed it, but it doesn't look so good. But here, this is more realistic. Trust me, this is more realistic when you compress it a little bit more. Here's just tunnel vision. Here, more realistic. So I would definitely encourage you to compress shots whenever possible. Again, we're just gonna go boom, boom, boom. And I'm telling you guys, following a system of some sort like this is going to give you the edge. Because you know exactly, it's like chess. It's like playing chess. You know exactly where to go next. You know exactly what your next shot is. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. We already talked about it. So this is just execution time. Okay. Now we're gonna do this. So remember I was telling you how that is the middle. So we can't force the middle, right? A lot of times, so let's say we zoom in here, and a lot of times I see sometimes like this. This would be a picture. And it's like, no. This is shooting towards the middle. Something along these lines. You gotta watch that your line here, your guide here, is parallel to the seam of the ceiling and the wall. That's how you know you're parallel. That's how you know you're in the center, right? Even if I move my camera this way, right? That is still the center. This is not a center. This is not a center picture, right? So I'm just making a point here. Okay, so again, before we forget, like we almost did when we were talking about these. So this is where the bed would go, right? If this was furnished. So, yeah. See, I need to move my camera to the right, not pan it to center it. So here, I'm ready to take a picture that's centered. But, let's see this. So you see how I just moved it a little bit. It was here, and I moved it here. Now I'm gonna move this back here just to show you, right, where you would place this. So you would place it somewhere over here, thinking that this is the middle, right? And you know, this is the middle now. And this is parallel, this is somewhat parallel. So, but you see how this is not very even according to these walls here, right? So what I see a lot of people do, they would just cheat it and they would turn it this way, the camera, so that it looks like, you see how the windowsill here has a little bit of room in this guideline, and same thing here. So this looks like it's centered, and indeed it is, but we start looking at picture longer and it becomes clear that this is not centered, right? And I'm just gonna show you, right? So, I mean, I moved it a little bit more to the right just to kind of give you more of a point, but that I see a lot of that, especially like with beginner real estate photographers. So don't be lazy, right? Make sure a good way to tell if you're in this very situation that I'm showing you on the screen is simply look across the wall that you're photographing and look at the camera. And it'll become pretty clear. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get it from the top. It's very clear to me that this is not pointing right across where I'm at. It's pointing a little bit to the right. Okay, and it becomes pretty aware. Then we're gonna correct it. And we'll say, okay, this is parallel, but there's less wall here than there is here. However, this is my middle, right? So I'm gonna have to physically move my camera. There. Oops. There. Something along these lines here. right? Even when I was over here, I kind of feel like I was forcing something was off. I was forcing the middle, right? So just little lateral movement. All right, I think I've beaten the dead horse here. All right, so these are some of the things that we need to keep in mind when we're photographing a bedroom that has an entrance in the middle of the wall. All right, so let's move on to the primary bathroom while we're at it. So what I would say here is we can take a picture here. This is a legitimate view, so that's nice. And also we will foreshadow these two, what is it called? Closets, of course. And then here, we're going to open them ever so slightly because I want to show people that this is a closet here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so with the closet, we're going to do something quite unconventional. That's what I like. So this closet here, wouldn't you agree, it's kind of hard to photograph here. So what we're going to do, we're going to do an unconventional angle here. So to make this work, there are several elements to notice. There's a corner here. There's a corner here. There's a door handle here. There's a door frame here. So these anchor points, door frame, door handle, corner, and a ceiling corner is what makes this shot work. If we cut out, let's say zoom in a little bit, boom. This is awkward. This is weird. We only have one corner. We have no idea where anything starts or ends, just no clue. Zoom out to bring these elements in, and we have an understanding of how this room looks like. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing here. Just on the opposite side. I mean, again, this is an unconventional approach, but I do like it because in the end of the day, I'm not a photographer. Here, I'm a communicator, and I'm communicating to the prospective buyer how this house looks like, how this house is laid out in pictures, which is difficult to do. So we need all the tricks and tools in our repertoire. So here, because we've taken quite a few pictures from the entrance already, like from the corridor, I like saying corridor, towards the bathroom here. So we've seen kind of like, oh, the bathroom's here. So what we haven't seen is this ensemble here. And this is quite an interesting ensemble. So okay. I'm gonna do something along these lines. And I'm gonna work with my circular polarizer to see if I can remove right there. Okay. So here, a little bit more difficult, especially with Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but I guess I can see. Let's see. All the way to the corner. I'm gonna kick this in. I'm gonna kick this leg in. So I'm gonna make this tighter, okay? This gives me a little bit more panning room here. And that, I did that so that I could include the sink here in its entirety. And perhaps I can raise this a little bit more to reveal this sink. Yeah, that's good. No, it's not, this isn't the best, but it works. Ideally, I would include this space here so that in the reflection, this here has existence both here and in the reflection. Ooh, here, right? But I'm losing the corner here. So I'm gonna prioritize the corner. Not the corner, the window. The window tells me more information about this bathroom than getting that thing completed. So here we gotta press and duck. Okay. So I really hope you see my setup here is pretty compact. So I don't want to miss the ledge here either. So now I'm gonna come back here. So here, I want at least 3 corners. 1, 2, 3. With 3 corners, your brain can somewhat complete this figure, this window, this whatever it is that we're looking at. With 2 angles, it becomes tougher. See? This becomes infinite. Once we have this angle, there's a definition to this window. Okay? Just something to keep in mind when you're photographing your house. And I want to point out, again, this camera here, why tripod is important, right? This is heavy stuff here, and my tripod is holding it very well. And the reason why it's like this, right, is because this camera needs to be in this very position. And if you look underneath it, it's nearly impossible to have all legs on one level. So once you start changing the levels, then it becomes tricky as far as like, you know, extending the legs and blah, blah, blah. So what I choose to do is, instead of extending the legs, is pointing one leg out and having it exactly the way that you just saw it. Instead of playing with length of legs, getting it like this for offside stabilization, right? So you see how it's angled all weird, but that allows my camera to be almost like, if you look at it, it would be over the seam of the threshold between the bathroom and the shower. Anyway, let's press forward with a photo of the bathroom that's more or less like this. Again, this is a main bathroom. This is something that I definitely don't want to be stingy about and capture it in full. Okay, so here, give this thing spotlight. I mean, I could have shot this earlier. Yeah, I hear you. But what I like to do is give a quick coverage of the bathroom or of an object, move on to another object, and right before I move on, just leave them with another variation of that object. And this happens to be primary bathroom here. So all these little variables makes the shot. So I see like I've included this corner here, this corner here. I've included the chandelier, all by just lifting my tripod a little bit. All variables must be considered. Even the height of the tripod varies. So that's what I like. Some people will disagree with me. They have they're set on their ways. They stick to it. Even I, when I have, kind of like quote unquote rules, I break them. A lot of people that I work with sometimes tell me, oh, but you said so and so. It's like, yeah, but this is a different scenario. This scenario calls for an experimentation, for example, right? I'm not saying about this scenario that I'm taking pictures of right at this moment, but I'm just saying in general, sometimes you've got to step out of the bounds of what the rules say and just go after what makes sense. What's your senses say? Anyway, we're about to be done here. So I do like a photo somehow of looking back towards the bedroom where we came from. And that is usually my last picture because that's pretty much saying, hey, I'm going back. I'm going back out there. So this picture kind of sucks because the door is open, but we have no idea what's behind it. So it's not open enough. So I'm gonna delete it right then and there, this picture, so that I don't have to bother with it when I'm back home. Boom, there it is. Include. See, I want to really include the beginning of this wall because we've seen it, we know what it is. The moment I don't include it, it's just this endless gap, right? But here, there's a definition to this gap. It's actually not a gap, it's a walk-through area into the shower, entrance into the shower. Anyway, here we go. This is how you shoot primary bedroom that has an entrance in the middle of the wall instead of traditionally somewhere in the corner. And with a bonus, I have the primary bathroom also included in this video. You want to see more of these breakdowns? Hit subscribe, like, share, engage in comments, ask away any questions. Thank you for watching.